Morning Live, thank you very much for choosing to be with us this morning, and we're still broadcasting live from the Protea Glen Secondary School here in Soweto. That old chalkboard in your visual, that's a thing of the past. That smartboard, that's the future, and it's all about smart technology. In the beginning of 2015, this year, we saw the Department of Education in Gauteng launch what they've called so many different things: classrooms of the future, the tabletisation of classrooms, the paperless classroom, e-learning, digitization of education, the big switch on. All these buzzwords only mean one thing: that our kids, our learners, are going to have their hands on technology, and technology, ICT, is where the future lays. Joining me right now is the Minister of Basic Education, Ma'am Motshekga. Ma'am, thank you very much for joining me here. I just want to get a sense from you, just the impact of today. It's the launch of the second phase. Beginning of this year, we saw this pilot project, very small project, start with 7 schools in Boksburg, Tembisa and Duduza. Today, we're talking about 375 schools.
No, it's amazing and it's very exciting, and do hope that the whole sector takes up on e-learning, because we have experiences, for instance, in the Eastern Cape, where learners, the new schools that we have built, they're using digitized textbooks, and kids learn much more quicker. I think it's the generation, they're the e-generation, so they learn quicker, better, and it's much more effective. They really, it really improves and enhances learning and teaching.
You know, human nature is such a funny thing, Minister. We're sitting here at phase 2 and already everybody's talking about 61,375 principals. When is the rest of the country seeing this innovation?
And you know, quite soon actually, sooner than I think our people expect. We have a Pakisa ICT, which is led through the presidency, and it's meant to enable us to move much more quicker. What is the advantage with Gauteng starting? It's really the learning experiences, the difficulties that when we roll out nationally, then we have really piloted quite effectively in one province. So I think it's going to be sooner than most people will expect.
E-learning, we're rolling it out with matriculants. Why the decision to roll it out with matriculants first, Minister, and not maybe grade 8, standard 6?
You know, we always run to them because they live in the system. So the grade 8s will still be with us next year. So when we roll down, they will have the opportunity. But these with us, with basic education, they're really at their last lap. And the idea is to give them whatever we can give them whilst they're still with us. So it is important that we assist them to go to the next phase of our hands, much more empowered and strengthened, and that's why we really are investing so much in them. The grade 8s, 9, 10, they still have time with us, and we will definitely reach them also.
One of the things we talked about off air before we started beginning this official interview on air was in terms of how tech savvy South Africa is, that this kind of technology doesn't even exist in other parts of the world. And the other thing we talked about is also the one thing we haven't focused on, that it is making the industry, this part of education, sexy again.
No, it is. I visited Italy 2 years back, and I was quite surprised. I mean, you'll think it's a first world, things will be at another level. I know countries like Turkey are quite advanced, but most of the countries I've also visited internationally are really not at this level where we are as Gauteng. They have made their own roads. Inroads. I visited schools in China. Indeed, they're far ahead of us in terms of e-learning, in terms of ICTs, but others are not most countries are not at the level where we are. No, indeed, it excites me. I mean, I look back that teaching also can be a very conservative profession which doesn't attract young people. But if it really gets e-learning, and I think with respect, I was celebrating that also, you know, during the music competitions, 8 of our conductors had dreadlocks, and I was quite excited to say it really makes sense to say the profession is for everybody. It's the young, it's also different, smart, but also conservative. So it really makes, for me, it's going to make the profession much more attractive and makes it really desirable for young people to want to go and work in that environment.
What were some of the lessons that we learned with the first rollout? We're now obviously switching on to connectivity, e-books, multimedia, smart boards, all of that will happen today, 375 schools. But some of the lessons that you took to heart in phase 1?
For me, what was extremely humbling is the teachers' commitment. Half the time we say they must be on class, on time, teaching. But if you could see the excitement, the commitment, the MC was even telling me that last night when he left at 9 p.m. here, our teachers were still here. So it really reveals the other side of our profession of our teachers, which we've not been appreciating a lot, that they really are much more committed than we think they are. We sometimes think that teachers are too old to learn ICTs, and it's quite clear they really caught up into it with so much energy, enthusiasm. So for me, it really brought a very humbling side about our teachers, but also our kids, that it's exciting. There are some sad things. Security does raise the fact that these tablets can be a security threat. We have to manage them well. We have to mobilize our communities to appreciate them as gadgets for their kids, not gadgets for the streets. So there's lots of community mobilization that we have to do to educate our communities not to buy stolen goods, because if they're stolen, they're for sale. So we have to make sure that they don't buy them as stolen goods. But most of the lessons are very exciting.
You were a teacher. How would this have impacted on your time as a teacher if you had access to this technology?
I would have loved it. I also used to teach life sciences. I'm sure it would have been so exciting to find yourself teaching a digestive system from e-learning, because I've seen some of the text, the digitized material. It's very exciting to teach them through a computer because when the vein pumps, you can see it really as if it's live, which you not even do as an experiment in a class with any other gadget. So it just it takes teaching to another level. It will have been quite nice. I really am happy for them and happy for these teachers. I think it really brings excitement and pleasure in the classroom. No longer dusty boards. We always had to really dust our hands off, chalks run short, but it really brings excitement back into the classroom.
Minister, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining me. Minister of Basic Education, Motshekga, sharing her insights as we switch on to connectivity, e-books and multimedia boards. Let's go back to Valen in studio, who's standing by with your sport.